is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here for our daily chat with Rob Oren. How you doing, Rob?
How are you?
I'm doing all right. So it's actually fun to talk to you because we've kind of like chatted online a bunch over the years, but we've never actually like met.
No, and it's a funny thing because I had seen your channel some time ago, and I think I sent you a private message just telling you how great I thought you were and everything like that. and we kind of would bounce back and forth a little bit, here and there. I remember you asking if I was going to a convention or something like that, which I wasn't. But we never had a chance to talk in person until about 10 minutes ago.
Right?
Yeah.
The opportunities of daily chats on Skype. Oh, by the way, Kabuki Kids is hi. I know she shows up in your feeds as well.
Kabuki, who won the pitch car race.
Ew.
Okay. Well, no, she came in second. There's a whole thing. We're having this pitch car tournament, and I pick people that follow the channel. So 1 week, all the girls ran, and now next week all the guys will run, and then they'll face in this death off. And it's the most stupidest thing you'll ever see.
I mean, I'm all for stupid entertainment. I love limericks and just pointless things, so...
I've gotten to the point where I do stuff that makes me laugh, and that's all I worry about.
I mean, that's fair.
And I think I have more fun doing it, too, doing it that way. Because people could, the funny thing is, if you are, like, have you ever picked up a game and go, oh my God, I got to review this? And you kind of get through it. But you want to know something? The audience is very, very smart. They can tell if you really like something or really want to do something. And if you're doing something that you have fun, it shows and it projects out onto the TV or onto the computer screen, however you're coming through. And it's just a wonderful thing. The more fun you have, the more infectious it becomes, I think.
Yeah, I actually had to stop making tutorial or like how to solo videos for games I only felt okay about because you can actually tell the difference on camera. So I really only make myself play what I actually feel like playing because otherwise I'll make the game look worse. Even if I really like something sometimes, if I'm not in the mood, I try not to make myself do it because then otherwise it doesn't come off as nicely. And like I used to try to do like a show off of play for like pretty much everything I reviewed, and then I realized that was making me miserable, so I stopped.
But once you started doing what you really loved and what you cared about, it became fun. Okay, people noticed it. Okay, which is easy, and you do a great job, anyways. By the way,
thanks.
I mean, some of your stuff is just ridiculous. I absolutely I watch very few channels. First of all, I just don't have the time to do it. Number one.
Yeah.
But I have a couple of people that I watch, and I've always kept my eye on what you were doing, and I just, sometimes I go, I was just about to do that game. Why is Liz doing it?
I feel that way about everybody else too. So you got to do what you want to do, right?
Yeah. So what I did is I always put it. I put it off for about a month or two, and a couple things that I've really learned is that. Don't try to be the guy Cult of the New. You know what I mean? Yeah. And try to put, oh my God, this game just come out. I have to get this video out. Number one, you end up rushing it. You end up messing it up. And number two, don't worry about it. There's 9,000 other videos out there. And hold on, wait a minute. I just heard it, a little bell. Another YouTuber just came. Is starting to make videos. So it's like that scene in A Wonderful Life. Hey, Dad, what's that bell? Clarence got his wings. No, another YouTuber just came on the scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great thing. The more the merrier, especially because...
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, there's just so much desire for game stuff these days. But, so what are you playing right now?
What am I playing right now?
Yeah.
Today, I just got through doing something I've been waiting to do for quite some time, and that's Doctor Who Exterminate. So I did that live. I had gotten everything all painted up, and it just sat there for like almost a year or two. And I'm looking at it, and I go, let me give this a go. So we did that live today. what else am I doing? Oh, I am in the middle of, well, tomorrow, every week I do Sabutio. It's a historic soccer game. It's a flick game, believe it or not.
Okay.
But it was created in 1947. And it has such this rich history. So I'm going to tell you a little story with this.
Sure.
Because I warned you, I don't shut up.
That's okay, I don't either. We'll fill the whole hour.
So the funny thing about it is I was going through and I found my old set. And I go, oh, my God, I wonder if I should get the new set. So I typed in there, new Sabutio. And all of a sudden there's these two guys that I think they had like 100 people that followed them. But they made fun of the game. And they were Americans. And they didn't understand that this is a very, this is a European game that there are tournaments that people take so seriously that they actually represent their country, like England, France, Spain, Germany, Russia. Right. And they all come together and they had this, and these two clowns just made a mockery of it. And I said, oh, no. That's not the way it's going to end. So I went out and I purposely bought the thing and brought it in, and I just caught the bug again, and I started my own Sunday morning league, and really just started making some relationships and stuff like that. Bought like 15 teams, and I started doing that. So I do that on Sundays, and then I do my usual 9-10 videos a week, which is, I've got to learn to slow down.
Man, I'm so jealous that you can go at that pace. I just cannot. I have to really ruminate. I'm like a slow video producer by my own standards. But
I'm a complete hack. So it's just like, oh, here you go. This is what it is.
Yeah, so one of the reasons I'm slow is so I'm actually thinking about making my tutorials. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to kick them up a notch. So I've been doing some work with Too Many Bones, which is fabulous. And I'm also
doing live on Tuesday.
I'm also thinking about trying to make a really thorough coin tutorial, starting with Cuba Libre and moving through, but that would be a giant project. And I'm on the precipice of being, okay, am I going to do this to myself and to everybody around me? And I actually have a review of 4 Against Darkness coming out of the Dice Tower tomorrow because somebody needed to do it. And so I have to finish editing that tonight. So,
matter of fact, I play it a ton on the channel here. I've done a ton of 4 Against Darkness. Have you seen 4 Against Mars?
I've not. No. But
oh my God, it is glorious.
Really, I'm really excited for Marco Arnaudo's Lovecraft 4 Against Darkness game that's on the way.
I talked to Andrea because I've been doing so much of 4 Against Darkness, and another one I don't know if you've tried yet, D100 Dungeon.
You know what? I have not. That is on my to-do list. I've been finding interesting, cheap things to do while spending time at home. And
if you go to Drive Through RPG and just type in solo, and I've downloaded and brought in so many different things, and I just play them live. And what I've done is, I wish I had the other camera up, but I have a piece of plexiglass that I put over this, and we will just draw all the stats on the plexiglass and try to incorporate people to make decisions and stuff like that. It's just so much fun. 4 Against Darkness is unbelievable, and there's so many supplements out there. Yeah. There must be 1,000 supplements.
I really like all the weird adventure ones. I liked 4 Against the Titans just because, I'm a Latin teacher. Of course I want that, And I dig the Knight of Destiny.
Yeah, that was real good.
That was great. And I really like the I like the Charlemagne Spear of Destiny treasure hunt one. I like all the kind of bizarre.
The three Rings was really good. What's the lizard one? I just did it. And it's pretty neat because I have a color printer and a binder.
Yeah.
So I print it out and I just bind it all together, so it looks like it's brand new, perfect, and everything like that. Awesome. And this shelf over here, which nobody can see, is just full of all that print and play stuff. I
Yeah.
love print and play.
So, Kabuki wants to know, what is your favorite old school pencil and paper RPG?
Old school?
Old school.
Probably Tunnels and Trolls.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, that's old school. I just bought, a matter of fact, and I see, I can always pull something up. Starfleet Battles, which is kind of a lot of pen and paper and stuff like that. But I must have bought like $500 worth of this stuff. I mean, I bought a huge collection from somebody, and I wanted to bring this to the channel because I didn't see any videos of it really done very well. So I said, you know something, that'd be quite a challenge to do, and it'd be a lot of fun for everybody to really get involved with. And that's just one of about 15 boxes and supplements that I have. So it's just like, all right, if I'm gonna dive in, I'm gonna definitely take one day a week and just do it and slowly bring everybody along and just have fun. Why not? I mean, that's what it's all about, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you know, I think it's cool that you stream. I actually typically do not. This is about as live as it gets, as these Dice Tower chats for me, because I really like to, like, show things off at a certain angle and, like, take my time and edit out all of my really awkward pauses where I thought for too long and it got boring. I feel like it must be a totally different kind of art form to stream and be willing to do it live. Like,
I think it comes down to one thing, and I've had this talk with the chat and everything like that. You know, you can have as many followers as you want, and you know, you can have the ups and downs of having a YouTube channel. One day it's like the greatest thing in the world.
yeah.
And I mean, these are things that you know. And then the next day you're scratching your head, what did I do wrong? You know? But I finally learned over time. And a very wise man once said to me, and that happens to be Tom Vassell. Just happens. This is the first time I'm back on the dice.
Okay.
Yeah, well, you know. But I remember we were at Gen Con one time, and he said to me, and we're walking, and I was talking about, I mean, the channel was really small then, and I was just asking him certain questions, and I didn't understand certain things. And he turned to me, he goes, Rob, he goes, I would, instead of worrying about how many subscribers you have, I'd rather have views than subscribers. And I really sat and I thought about that, and I go, holy cow, that makes a lot of sense. And I never forgot that. But, you know, to get back to what I was saying, the one thing that I really love about what I do is, you know, I'm out in the middle of Florida here, and when you talk about small towns, we have a post office and we have a 7-Eleven. That's it. That's all we have in this town. Okay, I'm lucky I have internet at times, but we just happen to be able to. We have a major town next to us, so
Right.
I'm able to click in. And you know, I don't have anybody to do things with. There's nobody around for tons of miles. So when I turn on the camera, it's like one of the best feelings, because pretty much I have this little group of people that come in and watch what I do, and I get to share it with them. And it's like having, you know, having friends over and stuff like that. And having that kind of train of thought, Liz, is what makes it so easy. It's like having your friends over. You know, you recognize the Kabukis, the Godzilla lovers, and all the people that come in, and you get to learn about them and things like that. It really makes it a lot easier, and you're just showing them your life. You know, you pull back the curtain a bit, and if you're just yourself, it's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, you know what's really funny is, like, my own YouTube philosophy is inspired by a man who was wise in some things, my PhD advisor. So, you know, I did a bunch of ancient history work, and the thing that's interesting about scholarship, right, is that you write something, it's outdated in 40 years if you're lucky. That's a long life. And so we would talk about, you know, writing things to last, and he always said, if you can make something that's useful That's the closest thing to immortality that you can get, because
Right.
people who had a really good table, or like a really good set of translations of something, or a really good collection of information that people will still cite years and years and years and years later, those are the people whose work lasts well beyond their lifetime. And I guess I sort of think about when I'm just making a YouTube video, right? It's like, okay, does this have use for somebody else? And so I'm always thinking about, like, what am I making that actually contributes to somebody else, something that they could actually use and get something out of. And I try really hard to, like, not be a waste of other people's time. Because I always worry about that, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And I never think about that when I'm looking at other people's stuff, only when I'm thinking about, like, what I'm trying to put out there.
You know, it's a funny thing, and I looked back a while ago, and I looked at all, I've done 2,600 videos in under 5 years.
That's amazing. Like,
it's actually psychotic if you really think about it, because I'm sitting there and I started averaging out, it's almost like three videos a day, which is, or whatever it was, however I averaged it out. So I started looking back, and actually the funny thing about it, as I started looking through the years, I started going, this is my life. We've had, there were times when my wife was sick, or when I was with the Dice Tower. And I would look at all these things that I did, and things like that. And over the years, it's a documentary of your life and the people that came with you and come with you. And I find it extremely moving. And on top of it, when you really think about some of the paintings I do, if I can get just one person to pick up a brush, I've done my job. So it falls into that history thing that you talk about, and how your legacy is what you give to people, not what you get from people. And I think that's the biggest mistake in this industry, is that people are always looking to take instead of give. Yeah. If we could give more, this industry would be a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a teacher. It's my entire instinct, right? It's like, oh, I learned something. Let me figure out how to share that with everyone else. All right, so Steve Thomas says, Liz, Rob, your fave solo games.
My favorite solo games?
Yeah, what's your fave? What's your number one?
Oh, that's easy. Mage Knight, Too Many Bones, and Nemo's War.
A man of taste. That is what you are.
Yes. All of them very different in their own way, but oh man, when you could put those games in front of you, you get sucked into them, and they pull you in to their theme, everything that they are, and I just always just those are my go-to. Oh, yeah. And the funny thing is, I've never done Nemo's War live yet. I keep on waiting to do it. And the same thing with Mage Knight, but I will play it off air all the time.
Oh yeah, I'm on record as like a hardcore Mage Knighter, and I was not playing. I like to play it, but I'm very serious about how much I like to play it. What's really funny is, my number 2 is Hoplo for a long time, and I love Hoplomachus. I love it.
Oh, but, yeah, I love those too. As a matter of fact, I'm looking right at them. I got all of them.
I've been playing Too Many Bones. It's one of the ones that I had put off longer for some reason. I don't know why. Like, sometimes you're just not in the right place to play something, and then finally you are. And now I'm like, why did I waste all that time? This game is really good. It's so good.
It's a matter of fact, the first time I ever went to Gen Con, I went with the Dice Tower. And of course, I'm running around there like a madman, And then I saw this game, and I ended up buying this game and sending it home. As a matter of fact, I bought a lot of games and sent them home. Get them here, unbox everything, throw it on the shelf. 3 years later, I look at it and I go, you know what? Maybe I ought to try this. And I pulled it down, and I must have played it 1,000 times. And that's Folklore, The Affliction.
You know what? I've heard a lot about that game. Some people seem not to like it, but then the people who love it really love it, and it makes me curious.
It is. It's really good. It tells a phenomenal story. And I really, if you have the means, get a hold of Julie at Greenbrier Games. She'd be more than happy to get you a copy. But I'm telling you, it's something that you would like a lot.
Mm. Yeah, and you know, I have similar enough taste for me to actually trust that recommendation. You're probably
Yes.
right. And Nemo's
Well,
War is fabulous. I haven't covered it either.
I use you, believe it or not, your ears must ring a lot because a lot of times when I have my War and Pieces show, and I love war games as much as anyone. And when I started watching you start to get sucked into some of the war games, and how how passionate you were because the history and all this other stuff, and I use it as an example. I go, that's the future. That's the person that we tried to reach. That we should try to reach. That's the kind of person, because look at the excitement. And some of the things that you did have just been, just out of here. I mean, you just do such a phenomenal job on your channel. And for the Dice Tower, let's not forget. There's a reason Tom pulled you in.
Actually, I asked to come in, but
you did.
I did.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't have to twist his arm. It was an easy sell for him.
Yeah, it was before they hired Mike, so I was like, Tom, you don't have a solo reviewer and you need one. So I wrote him to say that, and I was like, I'll do it. And he wanted a sample video, and off we went. And it's been over a year now. No,
good for you.
Yeah, it's been a year. That's wild.
I think I was there for about. It was almost 2 years, and then I had to leave. There were. My wife was very, very sick, so I wasn't able to do things for them. And also, there were just a few other things. It was nothing major. I mean, I think Tom is, I don't think we have a problem or anything like that. It was nothing like that. But, I wanted to go this way. He's smart and wanted to take and go that way. And which was fine. And when I got the miniature market thing, which is a big part of my channel, which I'm not trying to plug or anything like that, it was a conflict of interest, right, because they were cool stuff. So it was just time to go. And I always scratch my head and try to think if that was a wise decision, but I feel good at it and I'm at peace with it. And I'm happy for Tom and all the success he has. I get an email every once in a while. Well, what was the problem that you had with Tom? Why do you hate Tom? I don't hate Tom.
Tom, I can say what's interesting is I didn't actually know Tom that well when I emailed him asking to do reviews. I always was closer to Sam because I'd been on Throw Punch Lunch and I got kind of folded into...
which was my thing.
And then I got kind of folded into, Board Game Breakfast, and then I kind of... I was feeling less inspired. I felt like my segments weren't as good, and I was like, you know what, I want to figure out something else to do. So, but Tom is a very good boss, and I mean, nobody's twisting my arm to say this, trust me, in that he is very cool about wanting a lot of different voices in the Dice Tower, and he really cares about letting people voice their opinion as long as it's respectful. So and letting me cover what I want to cover, and I've been really happy with both. I don't know, feeling more like part of this team, but also feeling like I have enough of my own independence to have an interesting experience. If that makes sense.
Yeah, if you really think they are the benchmark for board gaming, and why is it? It's because of Tom. You see how Tom adapts and changes with things, and you have to admire how much he does change with the times, and he always makes the right decision. And believe me, there are hundreds of people that try to tear down. If you're on top, they look for the slightest thing to come after you. And I really feel for him in a lot of ways. But, the thing that he does is he adapts and he manages well, and he is just a very, very smart businessman. And, I always tip my hat to him. He's done a phenomenal job for his community, and has done so much for gaming. And I don't think people see how much he does for gaming and how much his influences and things kind of shape how you're going to go and where we're going.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to think about, like, I think we've kind of had multiple generations now of gaming YouTube people come through. So I'm not in that kind of older, like, I've been on YouTube forever, I'm established set, but I've now been around long enough that I'm not new anymore either. And it's really interesting to kind of, like, not be on the first wave by any stretch, but not be on the most recent one either, and kind of be watching, like, the landscape change, like, over the course of years. It's really, like, a cool experience. It makes you feel, actually, in some ways, more connected to the community, because, like, you have a sense of longevity with it.
And I forgot how somebody said it. It was a funny thing. This was another thing, because if you think Tom and I think Corrado and some of the people that have been around for longer than 10 years, Board Game Geek, of course, have been around longer than 10 years. And that's the old establishment. And then you have this middle ground, and that's where, you get your Rodneys and Chazes and stuff like that. And I kind of fit in there somewhere 5-6 years.
Yeah.
But the actual life of a YouTuber board game, they said, was 2.5 years. If you can make it past the 2.5 years, you're going to be all right.
That's funny, because my channel turns officially 3 in October. I released my very first playthrough is of, like, Sagrada on October something 2017. So we're coming up
crying out loud.
Coming up on the 3rd year. Yeah, my blog's been around a bit longer, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. Like, it's like, wow, how long have I been doing this? Because it feels like it just flies by. It's amazing. Like, I mean, and it's fun how connected you end up feeling to everybody else who does it with you. It's like, over the years, you just kind of get to know each other and really connect. It's cool.
Yeah, and and I was just thinking, because I wanted to add to how he adapts and change. Losing Sam was a huge loss. I mean, I there was a time that Sam and I were very, very close, and we don't get to talk as much, but we do here and there. But I went, oh my God, how do you replace the Sam? And he finds a way to do it.
Yeah, I think the real answer to that is, like, you don't. You just kind of...
No. You go different way.
Yeah,
he just went, and he has a vision, and he goes, okay, we're going to go this way. And sure enough, boom.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody's always going to miss Sam.
Yeah.
Sam, I would drive, when I was working with the Dice Tower, twice a month, maybe 3 times a month, I would go from my home. I would leave at 3 a.m, get to the Dice Tower at around 8, film for a couple hours, turn around, and drive 5 hours back. Oh, and that was hard. But I'll tell you, I enjoyed every single minute, and I learned so much from him, from Sam, from C. Derek, when he was there, he was just amazing when he was doing the camera work. Roy's doing it now, isn't
he? Yeah. And Mike.
Yeah, Roy's a smart kid too. Roy, and then you look at their conventions. How great were those conventions? That was the first convention I ever went to.
Same, actually. I went to, like, a C1 Expo because I'm in Atlanta, but the first convention I ever left home to go to was a Dice Tower convention. I'm really glad I did.
And that's where it all started for me, was the Dice Tower. And then I heard about Jack Vassell, and then I made this 4-foot by 4-foot Death Star for X-Wing.
Yeah.
And I auctioned it off at the Dice Tower for money to raise for Jack Vassell. And then from that point, I was off and running.
Yeah, I actually just saw Sam put up a message on Twitter. What's funny is I think about it. If I had not seen a tweet from Sam saying, "Hey, I'm looking for some more contributors for Throw Punch Lunch," I don't know if I would have ended up making videos or if that was inevitable. But it's definitely got me kickstarted. It was good. All right, more frivolous, but still fun question. How do you decide what miniatures to paint or not from Munching Gamer?
How do I decide what? Well,
do you paint them all, or do you have to pick?
I here's the problem. The biggest problem is my own doing. This channel started off with me painting. Okay, so I started painting different miniatures and stuff like that, and playing games. And I would paint the miniatures so we could play the games. Well, now it's to the point where if I don't paint the miniatures for a game, I get like 9,000 things in the thing. How come those aren't painted? Because I can't play a game now unless they're painted. So now I'm forced to paint everything. So now I'm way ahead on things that are painted because I've been painting off camera for quite a while. So we have Bright Busters. I have Hellboy done. I have Core Space ready to go. Doom is painted. What else did I do? I got all my Blood Bowl stuff finally painted. So I've got enough done that I could just go into certain games, so I'm ahead of times. But, man, I'll tell you, I'm tired of painting.
Do you want to hear a horrible confession? Okay, I'm so embarrassed to say this, but it's true. You're going to yell at me. Okay, I still have not played Kingdom Death Monsters, even though I have it, because I'm terrified of the miniatures. I'm so scared. But I bought some glue. That's as far as I got.
Kingdom Death Monster is a great game, and I keep on wanting to get it to the table, but it's such a monster. Literally. To get to the table, and it's almost becomes a lot of work, but it has such an unbelievable following that is so loyal to it, and putting that stuff together, you want to bang your head against the wall. And I just I have it there. I'm looking at it, and I've got to just keep going with it. As a matter of fact, I painted the elk not too long ago, just to get ahead, and then I'm going to get it to the table this year. So I'm definitely going to do it.
Yeah. But so we should never do this, but I just thought of the dumbest video idea in which I attempt to put the miniatures together while you are watching on camera and yelling at me about what I should be doing.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
No, too much glue.
And then you can help me learn some Euro game.
Yeah, that's easy. That's no problem at all. I got you. Teaching is just a matter of convincing other people that things are easy, and then they believe you, and then they do it.
You got it. Don't worry about it.
One of my he was never my professor. He's my boss. I work for this guy who I took pictures of tablets, like these Elamite cuneiform tablets in college, but the professor who did it taught like Akkadian and Sumerian, and he used to tick his students off really bad because they'd be like, "Oh, this is so hard." And he'd be like, "Well, the Akkadians didn't think it was hard." All right, so King Fat 44 wants to know, what game coming out this year are you the most hyped for?
Well, I want to say there's actually two, but I don't think they're going to make it, and I'm kind of torn on it because every year I make this. I can't wait for this game to come out this year, and it gets delayed another year, and that's Dungeon Crusade.
Okay.
That by Roger Daring, who is a very dear friend. When I was very, very, very small at this, he was just getting his Kickstarter going, and I said, "Hey, why don't you come on and we'll try to promote it?" And he never forgot that because nobody cared anything about that game. Well, we got it to fund. I put in a lot of work to help him, and it funded. And for the last 4.5 years, we've been waiting for it to come out. Well, it's finally at the printer, and it's going to be out probably. But with everything going on in the world, which let's not talk about, it's another unfortunate delay for him. The other one is Oathsworn, which I had a lot of fun helping those guys with. They asked if I would come over to the booth, and I filmed it. And then one of the guys that created it lived up in Jacksonville, and he is the only person that has ever been in, besides Tina the board gamer, into the sacred cave. And we did a live video showing off everything, going over it, playing a couple turns. And that game turned out to be a monster, but it should be out probably sometime next year. So I'm looking forward to that. Other than that, you know, I've never got paid for a Kickstarter ever. So I've never Kickstarted something.
I do it all the time, but once you start, it just becomes normal, and then you do it a lot. It's dangerous.
Yeah, and then you're wondering what's coming, what's not. I always just wait for it to come out, and then I buy it.
That's fair.
Because the anticipation of having your money out there and going, okay, when's this coming? When's this coming? When's this coming?
Oh, see, I never worry about it. I've got so much to play, though. I'm like, my pile of opportunity is too tall. So it's like, yeah, it'll come when it comes, and whatever. They're like, oh, we have a 6-month delay. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll still be busy in 6 months. For me, though, I'm really looking forward to new Hoplomachus Victorum.
I just caught that. I'm looking forward to that. And when that comes out, that'll just add to my collection of great stuff. We should play that live at some point.
We should. That would actually be really fun.
That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be great. Yes, we could either do
my 19 cameras, no problem.
We could do like a co-op Titans thing.
Oh God,
that'd be really fun, actually.
Oh, that would be glorious.
Let's think about that. I would really enjoy that.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about that. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
All right, so Kabuki wants to know, what game have you painted the most times, and was it Blood Rage? Have you painted a game more than once?
I painted Blood Rage for charity.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I painted it 51 times. I cannot look at that game anymore. I despise that game more than any other game known to man. If I was to pick it up, I still have one to paint for a patron, and every time I go to pick it up, I physically get sick. I mean, I physically look at it and my stomach turns. So I'm taking a nice breather from it, and we're going to get to it. But I'm going to get to it when I can clear the mechanism, and that's the hardest part. But yeah, it would be that, and then Rising Sun. A few times, as a matter of fact, I had to paint a Rising Sun for Above Board, the TV show that's coming on Netflix. I am the official painter for Above Board, so I've been painting stuff for them as well. There you go.
Nice. Very nice. All right, Munchin Gamer says, what is the craziest stunt Liz or Rob has ever done? Nothing I'm willing to admit to on a live chat on the Dice Tower.
The craziest or stupidest? That's what I'd like to know.
I don't know. I think how would you interpret it as you wish? You're the guest.
I remember one really stupid thing I did. I decided to see how much I can bench press, and nobody was in the gym to spot me. So I put, what was it? I had 620 pounds on there. And thank God I was able to do it, or else I'd probably be dead right now, which was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done. So that was pretty crazy. The second crazy thing was, I can't say. It has to do with my job. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. I have some wild travel stories, but, I mean, I've told a couple recently. So here's one I don't think I've told on Dice Tower, so I'll just tell this. All right. It's not crazy. It's just really uncomfortable. So I hope you guys like bathroom humor, literally. All right. So when I was in Egypt, we would go out into the desert to dig, right? So I was on an archaeological site, and there was no bathroom out there. You're like out in the middle of nowhere. So and they tried to make like an outhouse to protect the female workers' privacy, but like it just blew over, and honestly it was disgusting anyway, so like no. So I made it the entire season without having to use the restroom in the desert at all. Until it was like the second to last day, and it was really necessary. So there's this like I didn't really realize where people were actually going because again like I'd been avoiding this entire problem the entire summer. So like I figured this out the next year. But there's this giant dune that actually had a crater in it, and that's where everybody was going to pop down out of sight. But I went behind it, and I was like looking around. I was like, okay, there's like a farmhouse over here. Like it's far away. What if someone sees me? Oh my god. But it's so serious. And so I like start to like undo my belt and like a helicopter goes overhead. And I was just like, no! Like it was like the most performance anxiety a person has ever had. It was awful. And then I managed to use the desert like a litter box and continued on with my life and became comfortable with that. As a thing.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. So... yes, that is one of my many strange tales of travel.
I wish I could tell you all my travel tales. But that's another thing.
So Kabuki Kid says, how big would you guess your collections are? I'm going to guess that I have between 250 and 300 in my apartment somewhere. That's too many. I really need to cut down because I don't have that much space.
Mm-hmm. I know I have a couple thousand, and then I got at least another 900 to 1,000 in a storage area. So, too much. too much for sure.
Yeah, I try to travel light in terms of games. If I do not review it super highly, if it's like a 7 or lower, I've probably given it away or traded it by now.
Yeah, I would auction everything off. Like I started getting to the point where I would get a big bunch of games and put them in lots, auction them off, take the money and give it to charity. You know, whether it was my daughter-in-law who has cystic fibrosis, who my granddaughter turns 1 tomorrow.
Aww.
One of the many grandchildren I have. Oh, I'm old. What am I doing playing games? But
you're staying young.
yeah, I try to stay young, but it ain't that easy. But we take care of cystic fibrosis. Make-A-Wish is a big charity that I believe in. Just a lot of stuff that means a lot. But I see my little pal is in here, Jana, who is your workmate here, One Pip Wonder.
Yeah.
Have you ever get a chance to meet Jana?
Not yet. Only in here.
Oh, I tell you, the two of you, when you talk about channels that you just feel are safe zones and that are just kind and not trying to sell you something or anything like that, there's not it's not about, it's yours, it's hers. Both of you guys just, I can't speak enough about your channel and hers as well. So head over to One Pip Wonder.
I will.
No, definitely you will. Go ahead.
New Troll has a question for us. If you were to go cosplay tomorrow in the immediate future, who would you go as?
If I had a pick, there's actually 3 I would do. If I could ever get the 1954 Godzilla, the original Godzilla suit, I would put that thing around and just annoy the hell out of everyone because I'm a huge Godzilla fan.
We can get you one of those inflatable T-Rex suits.
Yeah, but you see, I'd have to go authentic right to the end. The other thing I would do is one of my favorite superheroes is Nova. That was one of the. That's going back to like 1976. Some of you weren't even born. Most of you weren't even born then.
I was not. That's true.
Yeah, and just was an inspiring comic and helped me learn to read. Believe it or not, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with me when I was a kid, and they thought maybe I was I had mental deficiency or something like that. I was just lazy. There was nothing that interested me in school.
That's not lazy. Like, I actually think schools should try to interest people.
Yeah, the first and second grade, I just was like, yeah, okay. I really didn't care about, Dr. Seuss at the time. Now I do. But I found that reading comic books and just I wanted to know what every word was, and then all of a sudden I was right where I had to be, and it was just finding what was interesting to me.
That's
And
awesome.
and I remember that and a Thor book that was my favorite, and I still have them to today, till to this day.
Oh, that's really cool.
Hmm?
Yeah, I think about my early childhood reading experiences. I can still, like, if I read Goodnight Moon, I can still hear my dad reading it because he read it to me so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
But
no, no, no,
my
it,
early comic book obsession was Batman.
no.
So I saw like a 1989 Batman movie,
Yeah, you
like
came right at
Time
the.
magazine cover,
Hmm.
and I was like, "Who's that?" My mom still remembers me. Who's that? Who's that? I was obsessed with Batman. I had a Batman costume, and I also became convinced that my father was Batman. So my dad's full name is Bruce Wayne Davidson, and being a child, so my dad is also a former newspaper reporter. He worked at a newspaper at the time. So like
It's got a
mixing
little
up
Clark
the
Kent.
yeah, exactly. Like I was obviously a logical child. If I was gonna cosplay somebody though, I would be Brienne of Tarth.
Oh,
She's awesome, and I have the hair for it. It would be perfect.
I just never got away from comic books, and I still read them to today.
I think they're
And
great. There's no reason not to read them.
oh God, just the stories, and I think that's what we lack a lot of times. Even games, you know, when people started making this transition over to the board games, I thought, okay, this is that moment, okay, where listen, I love video games as much as anybody else. But if you make your whole life video games, your attention span becomes that of a pea, and you have to have balance in your life,
Yeah.
So I read a lot. I go out and experience things a lot. But now, even when the board game craze started to hit, I said, "Wow, this is going to get people away from the games." Well, what have they done? They made the game simpler. They don't tell a story anymore. Okay, everything's very bland and this, that, and the other, and it's just the same rehashed thing, unfortunately, to some degree. Uh, and I think that's what people lack is how do you tell a story if you haven't heard a whole bunch of stories?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think reading makes you a lot more thoughtful. I think it makes you more empathetic, and I think it makes
Hmm.
you're more creative because like you've spent more time thinking, trying to look through other people's eyes.
Hmm.
I mean,
And
you know, I
go
remember
ahead.
reading Sandman, and just that blew my
Oh
mind. Like I did
God,
not know
God,
that
what
comic books could feel like that. Man,
it's a really amazing thing because you take a look at everything that we have here now. Here we are together, and who can we move and touch and tell our story, and maybe inspire somebody to tell their story in a way, and and if you can move people with you, like your channel has moved me at times, okay, and I hope that my channel has moved others at times. And having that passion to touch and reach out to all people and make a difference in somebody's life, a good way, a positive way, not like on Twitter or some of these other things where they're just where they took. If you really look at everything that, and maybe I'm going off track a little bit, but
yeah.
let me go. Let me go. So if you take a look at everything that was invented here, from TikTok to Twitter to Instagram to Facebook and all this stuff, it was made with good intention. It was made with the intention to bring people together, to bring people closer together, to bond people so people can experience each other and become closer as humans. Okay? The unfortunate thing is that pe- people also have all different types of emotion, not just kindness. There can be no good without evil. Okay, and unfortunately, that's what has taken over a lot of these platforms, and it's sad because the intention was good.
Well, I think what's going on too is just nationally we're at a time where people are very frustrated. I try to remind myself, like, I have to remind myself about this as a teacher too, because like some days you're just tired, like even if you love your job, right?
Hmm.
I really try to make it my mission to be delighted by other people.
Yes.
If that makes sense. Like, I really want to like the people that I encounter, and I want us to, you know, I like it when people are funny, and like I love it when they impress me, and I think, wow, you're just great. And so I'm always looking for that from the people that I interact with. It makes life easier, you know, because you see better things.
Life is hard enough. Why make it harder?
So speaking of things that are good, what is your favorite 2-player game? What Pip Wonder wants to know. We'll feature her question.
My favorite 2-player game. Strictly 2-player, huh?
Yeah.
I'm looking. Oh, that's easy. Okay. Silent Death.
Ooh, I've never played that. Well, of course I never.
No, it's a old. It's a very old. As a matter of fact, it's right on the back shelf here. It's right there.
Show and tell, yes.
Show and tell. It is actually it is a space combat game.
Cool. Okay.
Made back in the early 90s, and it was just a game that I would play all the time. My son loved it. He was 6 at the time. Now he's 30. Holy cow. And we would play this game nonstop because it was easy enough. You laid out the map. I painted up all the spaceships and everything like that. And we would just duel all day long. And then we would get this is when we were in Connecticut. You know, it was easier to get people, and we would just have people come over and just have these all-out battles. I made asteroids, and they would all move and smash into people, and
that's awesome.
It was just an all-out battle. That and Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is the ultimate 2-player game. There you go.
Try that sometime. I've only ever reviewed one 2-player game because I liked it so much. That would be Undaunted, Normandy.
Oh,
really love it.
But I played it solo.
It's not for me. I don't like to play against myself. It just makes me crazy. I prefer to play against like some sort of system or scoring mechanism.
I actually figured out a system though.
I know you've done it, but no, what I mean is that like I don't like to try to make the best moves against myself. That's the issue. It's not the initiative thing. That's fine. But like I don't.
No, I get you. I love a smart AI.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So for me, it's the other 2-player game that I love for other reasons. It's a good game, but I absolutely love Jaipur because I have such fond memories of it.
What game was that?
Jaipur.
Oh, okay.
So like I had a student who I taught that game to at my first job, and she would come see me. I would always beat her at it until later, you know. But like, you know, she would come in, she'd be like, "Dr. D, I'm gonna beat you. Dr. D, do you have time to play our game?" And she would refer to it as our game. And I knew exactly what she meant, and it was just great. Like, she'd come in at lunch, pop in after school. We played that game so many times until she finally beat me. She was a senior, she graduated, and I mailed her her own copy at college. Because it was just, you know, I have such good memories of that game because it was so wonderful to, like, have a student love it so much and want to play with you so much. You know, it's like, I'll always feel extra attached to that game just because of the memories attached to it. Love it.
You know, it's funny, everybody's talking about comic books and stuff like that. And, you know, with all this Marvel movie stuff and everything like that, the funny thing is that, you know, I used to love Thanos beyond human belief, okay, before the movies. Because, if anybody read the original comic books and understood that it was more of a psychological thing that he had, and that's why he lost. You know, it wasn't that the heroes beat him, is that he beat himself. He never felt worthy enough to have that kind of power. And it's a funny thing, you know, and I'm looking at everybody talking about all these different things. And of course, Sandman, I'm just so afraid because I heard rumors that they were thinking of actually doing a movie of it.
I think it's past thought. I think it's really happening.
Is it? And I'm terrified that they will ruin it the way they ruined The Watchmen.
You know what, though? You can't ruin it because all you have to do is not watch it. I don't accept the 4th Indiana Jones movie as part of the canon. That just happened, and it's gone now.
Right.
Bye.
I mean, The Watchmen was like one of the biggest disappointments because up until the point where the end happened. They were pretty close to the book. And I was like, wow, this is pretty good. Oh, is that the way you're going to end?
I heard the show is good, but I haven't seen it, so I wouldn't know.
No, I haven't seen the show because I'm just so disappointed.
Traumatized by the movie?
Traumatized by the movie. And it seems anything DC does, it just... That's horrible.
You know, we were talking about this on my last Daily Chat, but I would actually really like to see Transmetropolitan as like a series.
That would be interesting.
That would be cool.
I think it could be done.
Because like
the Vertigo line was so good.
Oh yeah, but we have like enough good tech now that I think you could actually create that futuristic journalist world and have it work. Like I think somebody could do like a two-faced smoking cat at this point, and like, have it look okay. Like I think it'd be doable. I
think so. You know, another thing that was disappointing was Preacher.
Oh, I never watched it. I love the graphic novels though.
Oh,
those are
book,
good.
That book was so good.
Really good.
It was so good. Did you read it? Did you read Bone?
You know what? That is on my to-do list. I have meant to read Bone for years. I see it and I'm like, I don't have the money to buy this giant book, but I really want to, and like eventually I'm going to do it.
You will never look at things the same again. And it's funny, I actually went backwards because I've been reading things that I can eventually read my granddaughter. So I went and I picked up this Scholastic book. It's called Amulet.
Okay, that sounds like something I would have loved at...
you can get it still. You can get it still. But it's from Scholastic, and it's actually this beautiful, beautiful story. And hopefully the last part, it's been going for 10 years. It's a graphic novel.
Cool.
It's a comic book, and it has so many twists and turns. That is fantastic. And I really highly suggest that and The Courageous Princess, which is another phenomenal story. Why the Last Man, that was good too.
Oh, that was good.
That was so good.
That was really interesting.
So
but how old's your granddaughter?
My granddaughter is turning 1 tomorrow.
She's turning 1. So when she's a little older, one of my favorite books when I was younger is From the Mix-Up Files of Miss Basil E. Frankweiler by E.L. Konigsberg. It's about this girl that like runs away from home with her little brother to like live in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And she solves an art mystery about a sculpture that might or might not have been made by Michelangelo. And it's so good. And I'm fairly certain that reading that book made me somebody who liked museums and probably influenced other things in life. It was such a good book. It was really good.
I'm definitely going to have to read it to her. Because, you know, it's a funny thing is that my daughter from Connecticut just sent down a whole bunch of books. Because at once, if my wife picks up a book, and she will hand the book to her, and she would just read to her, and she loves to look at the pictures right now.
Yeah.
But she will sit there, quiet as a mouse, at 1 year old, and just stare at the book. And then when she's done, she closes it, puts it down, and then she picks it up and hands it to her again, makes her read it again.
That's so cute.
So I've been doing it. So I've been building a catalog because they only live 4 houses down from me. They bought a house down the road. And I figured, well, you know something? I can walk over there every single night and read a book before she goes to bed.
Aww.
So I'm just putting this catalog of all the things that I want her to read. And, you know, one of the beautiful things about the Courageous Princess is how she stands on her own. Mm-hmm. That she doesn't need to be rescued. She'll rescue herself.
Yes.
And I love that.
There's a kid's book that I read once. It's called The Paper Bag Princess, and it's about this princess that's supposed to marry a prince. And, like, so this dragon comes and, like, burns everything, including her clothes. This is why she's wearing a paper bag. And he kidnaps the prince. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she goes and tricks the dragon and rescues the prince, and he's, like, you know, ungrateful and a spoiled prince about it. And I just remember her saying, "I will not marry you, Prince Ronald," and then she, like, goes off into the distance.
See, that's the kind of book I want to read her. Because I want her to be strong, and I want her to have her own thought. You know, I want that for all. My daughter has excelled. Both my daughters. One's a microbiologist. The other, she's almost done. She's about to be a paramedic.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they rely on nobody but themselves, and I'm very proud of both of them. And I want the same thing for my granddaughters, which I have two now,
Aw.
and we have another grand kid on the way.
Congratulations. Actually,
Oh, I
so it's
know.
10. What a lovely note to finish on. Thank you so much for coming on, Rob. It's
Oh,
been
no
awesome to
problem.
get to chat for a bit.
We
We'll
could have
have
we
to do
could
it
have
again.
talked for about 3 hours.
I
I
know.
told
I
you.
know. Like, I've never met a stranger, and you're definitely not one, so. But anyway, thank you so much to everybody for being in the chat. We will see y'all around, and good night.
Good night, everybody.